like to call the property service meeting to order. First, I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in the Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Next is the approval of the agenda. Moved by Peter. Second by Larry. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Count my nay. Motion carried. Is there any emergency resolutions? Any emergency resolutions? One more time. Any emergency resolution? Seeing none, we'll move on. Is there any errors or omissions or corrections to the minutes of March 17, 2025? Councilor McDonald?
I was here last time. See video conference there, but.
We might just. Are you sure you're here? Okay.
Video.
Okay. You got video of it? Okay. That'll be changed there.
Okay.
Councilor Wadden?
Same thing, huh?
Oh, you weren't here either. Okay. So those two corrections will be made. Okay. Is there any other errors or corrections or omissions to the minutes? Any errors, omissions, or corrections? Seeing none, we'll consider those minutes approved. Next is correspondence. First one is from the Minister of Justice regarding the additional officer program. The second one is a letter from the Nova Scotia Municipal Affairs regarding the 12-month notice on revenue changes. And the third one is letters from Nova Scotia Public Works regarding J-class roads. Is there any questions or comments on those? Warden Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The one that bothered me a bit was from the Attorney General on the additional officer program or whatever. We're making use of that now, and I just couldn't understand where they were going with the letter. If it almost sounded like we're going to lose that funding, but they didn't come out and say that. They're just reviewing it and seeing if there's a better way to spend it. Through you, Mr. Chair, to our CAO, do we know any more on that as to where that's going?
No, and so that would be your street crime unit would be the one that would be majorly funded through that, and there's the school
schools?
resource positions. The letter was somewhat vague, I think, as to where.
It seemed to be warning us of something coming, but it wasn't clear what was coming. They were going to modernize it or whatever, but do we make good use of it now, that program? We have funding and it's used then for those things it's meant for?
Yes, street crime unit is definitely used
And
for that. And there was
officers in the schools?
a press release issued today with seizure of weapons and drugs through the integrated street crime unit. So.
And do we use them in the schools?
The school and I don't.
So this doesn't refer to that then?
No,
is it,
well, it would be part of that overall funding envelope that the province pays for, but we don't typically get a report on the school liaison per se. We typically get report on the street crime unit because.
Well, you hear about that
It's
on the
more.
news.
It's a different type of policing, so.
I guess my concern is, things aren't the same in schools as they used to be, and I think we need, those officers there. I'm assuming they are there now, but in the high schools particularly, I think that's where they're talking about. But I'd hate to see them draw them out of there because they're going to find a better use for that money. But I just wanted to bring that up. That one concerned me. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Anybody else? Not seeing anybody. I have one comment. It's a letter from Nova Scotia Public Works regarding the J-class roads. It's 3 times that we've got turned down for these roads, right? So hopefully we move these forward next year also. But it's back in 2020. I told you this before. 130 J-class roads get paved in the Western District, and 70 some down in the Eastern District, and we had 2 at that time. So, and then the year after there's 77 in the Western District that was done. So this year program, I don't know where all the funding's going, but it's definitely not coming to the northern zone, so. Anyway, I just want to make that comment. Okay, we'll move on. Next is the Director of Public Works and Development Officer's report. Any questions for Evan? Or, sorry about that, Logan? Councillor Watton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do you have an update on the Chance Harbor subdivision, Logan?
Yes, thank you, Councillor Wadden. Through you, Mr. Chair. So we don't have an update on that. Still awaiting information from our lawyer on that item.
So it's been in the lawyer's hands for a number of weeks. It hasn't come back since then, since we talked before.
That's correct. Yep.
And they were really concerned, so I don't know if there's something we can do or and try and push this along a little quicker. But it's been quite a while in the works, and they are frustrated with us.
Yes, yeah. We can we can reach out again tomorrow. We have reached out, but we can do so again.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Warden Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Number 2, the Blue Acres sidewalks. I understand they're almost ready to start, their contractor, and they are started. Whatever happened to, like, the announcement to do with the co-funder here along with the municipality? We were told that that had to be kept quiet until they were gonna make the announcement, and if they're already started, there seems to be something wrong there somewhere in terms of the sharing announcement that was supposed to come.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Brian, have you heard anything about an announcement any further? Our contractor had been ready to go, so we talked about it internally and made the decision to have them advance, so we didn't lose the contractor early in the season.
I understand that. I'm not trying to hold it up, but I think we should have had that announcement by now. If there was gonna be an announcement, or is it, we've been told to stay quiet about it, and here they are starting it, and the public's not aware of who's actually funding it.
Yeah, and I believe Brian has followed up or been waiting on that, and it just hasn't come. So that, yeah, unfortunately, we just haven't heard anything back yet. Yeah,
You can only keep things quiet for so long in this county.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Dorr.
I think we were mixed up who was gonna make the announcement. I remember in the Advocate 2 weeks ago or so that the counselor for the area was on the front page of the paper saying he was gonna get the sidewalk, so. maybe-
The money's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but that, there was a last line there, it said that there was gonna be some other help come, but anyway, the announcement got out pretty good at that time. Front page, geez, I can't get anything on the last page, how you got on the front page every time, but thank you.
Okay, Ronnie Bailey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just the same question, Logan, as last month. Is there any about the exception for the sidewalks in River John?
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. We have heard back. They are willing to accept modified standards, so that's good for us, and that'll be included for consideration in the capital planning considerations, I guess.
Okay, Deputy Warden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Logan, is there anything done yet to our sewer bylaw that we're gonna update it for the costs and stuff? Has that been worked on?
It's been worked on, and we've had input. We've collaborated with other municipalities to see what they're doing, but we don't have anything ready to present yet, but we are working on it. Yeah, yeah. So
Maybe by a month or so, or?
Yeah,
It's
we
getting
can-
into that time of year that we should have that.
Yeah, and we do have we have lots of lateral requests on the go, so
Thank you.
we could look to have that within a month, yeah.
Okay, anybody else? Seeing none, we'll move on to the Development Officer's report. See anything? Next is Emergency Services report.
Mr. Chair?
Warden Parker.
Through you to Mr. Hale, so I heard via one of the media sources, I'm not sure which one it was, last week, that the province was doing a study of all the fire departments in the province in terms of, well, just about everything, I guess, but one was in terms of how they're funded. I wonder if you can enlighten us on that and what you know about it that's going to happen or not going to happen in terms of the study?
Sure. I've been aware of the plans to have a study basically since I've started here. It's been sort of talked about provincially for a while. The letter that was sent out last week was the first I was hearing of it effectively coming into place. And I wasn't given any other details in terms of what exactly is going to be studied, and other than what was contained in that letter. From my understanding, they're in the very, very initial stages of looking at this. So the answer that I got from our president, Greg Jones, was there'll be more information forthcoming very soon on this.
Okay, I was glad to see it was going to be looked at anyway, because we get such a mishmash across the province of, of different, all kinds of different rules and different ways of funding and whatnot. It's something that's, that I'm interested in seeing where they go with it. Thank you then.
Okay, anybody else? Not seeing anybody, we'll move on to fire inspector's report. And the last one, the building inspector's report. Seeing any? Okay, we'll move on to business items that require action. Streetlight approval, Councillor Wadden. District 2, 7 streetlights on Sinkler's Road, including one at the intersection. Would you want to speak on that, Councillor Wadden?
I think Logan just said he was going to speak to it.
What's that?
Logan's going to speak to it, unless I have to make a motion first.
Yeah, you go
Okay,
ahead.
I'll just make a motion that the streetlights for the area in District 2 be approved.
Move and second it. Okay. Logan?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair, Councillor Wadden. So the streetlights, it's contained in your package, the proposed streetlight locations. We do have other streetlights along Sinclair Road, a variety of them going up and down the road. So there should be no reason, this should be in keeping with our policy. So it's fully supportable from a staff perspective.
Okay. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Count of mine nay. Motion carried. Next is paving subdivisions. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. I just wanted to get this out on the table. There's historic grievances this time of year on Holland Lane and Jean Street in the new subdivision in Plymouth. The subdivision is essentially full. There was an agreement made with the developer of the subdivision. I don't know what's in that document. I haven't seen it. But the residents claim that once it got to 80% full, it would trigger paving the street. And I'm not sure if Brian can explain, or somebody can explain that agreement, or how we would go about paving that street. Presently it's owned by the municipality, but I just don't have all the information in front of me to understand the complexities of how to get that street paved, as it was promised to the people who purchased land in there.
It may be an in-camera issue
Okay.
to talk about
Okay.
because there is some contractual stuff there.
Okay.
So-
So, want to make a motion? We'll go in and deal with this right now. Okay. Moved. Is there a seconder? Second by Councillor Wadden. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Count by nay. Motion carried. Just give us a No, Joe, we're not going in camera for yours. Community kiosks, upkeep.
I was just wondering, somebody asked me, in Lismore about community kiosks, they're getting faded and stuff happening to them, and this was way before my time, and, so I just wanna know how they became to, and how were they funded then, and was there something, who's responsible for them?
Right?
I'll give you the Coles Note version. So it was a program that was created by PRDA, so the Pictou Regional Development Association. And there were two phases of it, so I don't know which phase that one was in, probably irrelevant, but the first phase was funded, the county did put money into them, as did the ACOA, so it was basically a project. The intent was, the way I remember it, is that wherever these were placed, if they were placed at a community hall, that the long-term upkeep was the responsibility of that group. We were not involved other than we were asked for funding. And then when the second phase came around, council actually turned down funding the second round. There was, we'll say, some discontent in people that were involved in the project. So council kind of said, well, we're not touching that type thing. And really the first phase was kind of the way I think council looked at it, was there wasn't going to be a phase two, right? So we did not fund phase two. But my understanding, and there's counselors around the table that were here when we did that, because it would have been 2008 to 12, that term. We basically gave the money, and it was the community groups that would be responsible for the ongoing maintenance.
Okay,
Great, thank you.
okay. Warden Parker.
I just wanted to add to that a little bit. I'm a big fan of history. I'm a big fan of the kiosks. What's his name, John Ashton was the guy behind it, doing all the work and helping with the research in the different communities. And it was unfortunate, those who, at the end, once things, I think it was ACOA, decided they didn't want to be involved anymore. Whatever happened between them and Mr. Ashton, you know, it went in separate ways. But I know there's one in Alma, there's one in Linesbrook, and a couple others I know of that were developed on the second phase. Not up to the same standards as the ones on the first phase, because they didn't have near as much money, but it was community money. It was community-raised money. And I think there were some municipal service grants went in to help in the various areas for those ones in particular where there wasn't a formal agreement with the with ACOA. But yeah, they're well worth keeping. They're valuable to our communities, valuable to people that comes back that lived here a long time ago, or their great-grandfather did, wanting to do research. But I think probably municipal service grants is the way to do the upkeep. They're usually in the backyard of some hall somewhere, you know, fairly, they wanted them there to be protected a little bit. So that's my feeling, is that it's municipal service grant money that will have to help the communities. Thank you.
Councillor Bowles.
Yeah, just also that somebody got a job like that, they want to look into 144 Flight. They if you put an application into them, you pay the material, they'll come and do it if it's got something to do with carpentry work or something like that, that they can get some training at it for their guys. But that's always open too, and they're really great.
I think the main thing was they were faded and the top starting to
Peel off.
and
I
that
noticed
stuff.
that too.
So I
Yep.
know more now. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any deferred business? See any? Any motions of reconsideration? See any? I'll call the meeting adjourned.
right, I will call the Financial Services meeting to order. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. First, we'll start with the approval of the agenda. I have a motion. Moved by Councillor Boyle, seconded by Councillor Turner. I thought, sorry. I thought I heard you making things up already. First off, not good. It was you. Okay, sorry, Councillor Parker. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Motion carried. Any emergency resolutions? Any emergency resolutions? Seeing none. Errors, omissions, corrections to the minutes of March 17th, 2025. Go ahead, Councillor Parker.
There's an error there in the, let me find it, under the Riverview Home Corporation. It says 15 medical homes, and it should be 3 medical homes.
Should say, pardon me?
It should say 3 medical homes.
Medical homes.
3 medical homes for 15 residents approximately. But
Oh.
you get, what's in there is 15 medical homes.
Okay,
So that's all that needs to be changed.
okay. Any other errors, omissions, correction? Go ahead, Warden Parker.
If I can find it on here, I probably can't, but I'll tell you where it is. Under, when we had the discussion about the fire departments and the sharing of the, or the ceasing of the sharing of the levy, it mentions the Scottsburn and Alma fire departments and the levy being changed, or not the levy, but the arrangement being changed. I think it should mention in there that it was agreements with the West River Fire Department that were canceled. It almost makes it sound like the agreement between those two departments.
How it reads, yes. Councillor McKeel said that the Alma Fire Department and the Scottsburn Fire Department have requested changes to the sharing of their fire levies, and the West River Fire Department has asked for an increase in their fire levy.
But it doesn't mention that the changes that in the sharing was between each of those departments and the West River one. Then the one about the West River having to raise their levy was a result of that, but it's a separate.
So a little clarity on the actual specifics of
Yeah,
that.
that it's not an agreement between Alma and Scottsburn. It's an agreement between each of those and West River.
Yes, I can understand that. So just a little clarity around that section there, okay? That can be changed.
Somebody looking in the future, trying to figure out what went on, is they, this time trying to look back, nobody could figure what went on.
Okay. Any other errors, omissions, or corrections? Seeing none, we'll consider those minutes approved. Reports not requiring a motion, communications. Any questions? Comments? Okay. Recreation. Any questions, comments on recreation? Warden's report. Any questions, comments on the warden's report? Go ahead, Warden Parker.
Just mention a couple of things, Madam Chair. I was in attendance at the Tourism Awards, I guess, what they call them, the Bowie Awards, I think.
Buoys, yep.
Yeah, and along with Councillor Palmer and I think Councillor Thompson. And it was one of the best things I've gone to all year. It was a real treat. Everything was well organized and well done, but when you were eating your meal, partway through, in walked the Men of the Deeps. And so we had a concert, you might say, by the Men of the Deeps in the middle of it. You'd pay $50 if you go to into the cost or somewhere to hear that. So I thought it was a real treat. They did an excellent job, of course, as they always did, but it was really well done, I guess. I just wanted to kind of give them a pat on the back for the people that organized it. It was a well done effort. And the other thing I'll mention is that we did have a virtual online conversation between mayors, wardens, CAOs about a week ago now, was it? Almost a week ago, on the coastal protection plan that the province has, I guess, because they backed out of the other deal that was gonna be there for the province to do the protection, and now they're not saying the municipalities have to do it, but they're saying, here, we've got everything you need, because basically they were ready to do it. We've got everything you need that, if you go ahead and do it, and including some, was it draft, or model bylaws or whatever. But that's a big decision that we're gonna have to make as a council here. Once we get our other plan through, we agreed, I guess, to leave the coastal, anything to do with the coast, and then deal with it afterwards. So there is some new plans. NSFM has a bunch of new money, and they also have a new person, who was the person that was gonna do it for the province, conveniently retired and got rehired by NSFM. So really, it's what they were going to do, and they're saying here, we think you fellows are closer to the people. We often hear that argument, that municipal governments are closer to the people. So we're either gonna be doing it or not doing it. We gotta make that decision. At this point, they haven't said you must do it. They're just saying you're the people that should be doing it, working with the residents, or if not, the residents simply do it on their own. And so as a county government, we have to decide, if we want to be involved and what the risks are for us. They have agreed to help with some funding in getting us started, I guess, but a question was asked about, the enforcement. Is there going to be any funding to help with the enforcement? And the answer was basically no, and maybe we'll see how you get along. And but basically, no, that's your job. So we have to, come up with estimates of what that cost would be and whatnot. And I don't think there's too many of the 49 municipalities right now have gone ahead. Of course, some of them are mostly inland. It's only going to affect probably half of them, but maybe we'll find out in a week and a half's time when the SM meetings are going on as to how many are going ahead or aren't. But it's a decision that's a lot of people are looking for answers for. I think there's going to be an attempt made when we have our second reading here in early May to see if they can get some of that added in it, and that would probably put us back to the first again. And in my opinion, we're better off to leave that and say we're going to do that separately as we had planned on doing. So those are just two things I wanted to bring up, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Warden. All right, we'll move along. Internet report. Go ahead, Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Two things. One is just a report that I have had glowing remarks over the quality of the service that people have been getting. I'm very, very happy with the people that I've talked to, and the service, the quality of the service that they're getting through the internet, but also the quality of the service that they're getting here at the municipality as well. So I just thought I'd pass that on and make people aware of that. The second thing is a question, and one of the things that has kept me from getting it is the TV and phone services. And as you have here in your upcoming things that are going to happen, you have V-Media services soon offering over-the-top features like TV, home security, and phone services. So when can we anticipate that happening?
So they're working on it now. Some initial testing has happened. However, we're waiting for one piece of upgrade to be completed on the network before these services can actually come over our internet and be available to the residents. So I've been involved along with Scott in some of the testing of this equipment over the last number of weeks. So I know there is now currently a plan to transition our network onto this new piece, which is what we've been waiting for to be able to offer the V-Media services. So that being said, at this point, I'd probably say it's within a month for sure. I'm hoping it's less than that. Okay, but within a month for sure, yeah.
Okay. And how do we roll that out to the people that already have it? Like, how do we go back and ask them to upgrade to these services as well. How do we do that? What's our plan on that?
Sure. There is a marketing plan for it. So there's a multi-step process where we basically productize the products and the services, along with a multiple channel marketing approach. And those people will then be able to come on, and they can basically order it directly from vMedia. They're going to manage all those customers themselves. So it's only available over the MOPC Fiber First Internet or the First Home Wireless if you're on a certain level of wireless. But other than that, we will market to them. We will send probably direct contact out to anybody that we already have, anybody who's signed up. We have all that email information, so it's very easy to follow up with a link, steps, and a description as to what they can expect and how that works for them.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're on the right track. Thank you.
Councillor Parker?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to comment on the same thing Councillor Turner did there on these new services coming. I think that's going to make a big difference in the amount of people who are going to take up the internet because they can get the TV and maybe home telephone and things. Because all along, if you had Eastlink, like I did, you get all three. And then all of a sudden you had to switch and just get the internet from the county and get your TV from them. It makes it complex. Harder to let go of the old one. But if you can get all three, then you can easily let go of the old one, take up the internet. I think it's a great, I think your sales should go up substantially. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Warden Parker?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As promised earlier at an earlier meeting, I don't know when or how long ago, that we would stay on top of Nova Scotia Power, because they are still our biggest holdback and our biggest cost. Our biggest cost in terms of uncontrolled cost. So we did meet with them last week. Wayne wasn't available, so Brian and I met with them, and you always sort of come away with the feeling that they're trying to help you, but you don't necessarily feel that afterwards, if you know what I mean. Yeah, there's our advisors, what's the name of the group again? Digital Ubiquity, are telling us that it's still a major problem in that it's holding them up because they're ready to go ahead and we got the permits and everything, and then when they get there, the work's not done. Poles need to be replaced, they aren't replaced, or trees need to be cut that aren't cut, so they then have to shift everybody to a different area somewhere. So, we're hoping it helps. We don't have a real good lever to, they don't want bad publicity, and we don't want to give them bad publicity. We just want them to get the job done. And so I think both Brian and I came away with the feeling that, and Mike too, who was on virtually, came away with the feeling that they heard us. Whether they do anything about it or not is another thing. But that is still our biggest holdback. Our teams that are out there running the lines and stuff are doing a great job. I think there's 5 different teams. Vital Air, is it? Vital?
Yeah. Our production rates are
really
incredible
good. Yeah.
per month. Like we're 75 kilometers, I think, is what last month.
Yeah.
That they were able to do. So our production rate is good.
It's good.
If we have the runway, we can run it.
But they get there to do the job, and then they can't do it because the work still isn't done. So again, we hope that they heard us, and we hope they do something about it. And we're setting up regular meetings now every month to meet with them and review what the issues are and see if we gain anything. Otherwise, we're just meeting and get some nice words said and then not move ahead any. So I just wanted people to know we are staying on top of that. We said we would. That is our only uncontrolled cost, and it's by far our biggest cost much of the time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Councillor Dewar.
Thank you. Well, that sounds like terrific good news, because District 11 and 12 would like to get a lot of people in our districts go with the TV and the telephone, because in the last month, the telephone's been off a total of 5 days, I guess. 2 days or 3 days 3 weeks ago, and then 2 days this week or last week. And it's all with those little buildings and the batteries, I guess. I don't know. There seems to be, every time you call, they're gonna send somebody out to look at it, and it gets back on before that happens. But it's in these little stations that you have in a lot of communities. And it's just not working, because, like, there's a long way from Hopewell and Elgin and Lorne and Glengarry, and then you go up the East River Valley, Springville Island, East River, Eureka, right out to Sunny Brae at times. You just lift the phone up and there's no dial tone. So it really, like Councillor Parker just said, it likely a lot of people would jump on if we could get it over in our area. And it hopefully, and just like Councillor Turner just said, they're awful pleased with the people that are doing the work and one thing and another. And if we could keep that feeling out there, because everybody doesn't have that good a feeling about the telephone company anymore. So it's our turn maybe to come ahead. But anyway, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Bailey?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess as a subscriber, I have to comment that it is definitely working a lot better and a lot faster than what we had before. So I'm very pleased with it. Plus, it's cheaper than Bell. I guess my question is, when you're talking about phone service, are you saying landline and cell, or just landline?
So this service refers to the landline. So basically you'll have your, like you have in your house now, you probably have inside of your utility or main electrical area, there's the one box that flows into your second box or your residential gateway. So right out of the internet box, our ONT it's called, there's a little adapter piece that would go in there, and you plug your traditional phone line into, typically how it's done is they use a cordless handset type of phone, or they use one with a main and then secondary handheld devices. And that way, when you have your one base unit plugged in, you could have your other wireless or your other cordless phones around your house and still be connected over that one connection, because it's not going to make it work in every single phone jack in every room in your house. It'll provide the same service. You can port your phone number over that you have now with your existing home phone service. But that's typically how they do that. So the only benefit for that is for the cellular service is the fact that you could now, if you have a strong internet connection at home, you can put your phone, if it's a smartphone, on Wi-Fi calling, and so then when you're at home, you would have improved phone service because you're not on the cellular network. As soon as you leave your house, if you're in a bad cell zone, you're still going to have those same issues.
Go ahead, Councillor McDonald.
The cutting of the trees and that stuff, is that on us, or is it Nova Scotia Power?
So we pay for it, so the utility model is that work that's being done is billed to the third party, so they arrange the contractor. The contractor works for them, and we simply pay the bill. What the warden's referring to, there's been numerous instances where we go out and they're doing the make-ready work for the communication space, which is typically a meter below the power. They don't trim the communication space, they trim the power space, which doesn't help us any, right? Because we can't get into it, and there's been other instances of just deficiencies with work that have occurred, like with anchors, like where you basically put an anchor into the pole and then you attach your cable to it. Yeah. Well, so they've installed new anchors, but when we've gone out, all the spaces on the anchor are already taken. So they basically replaced it with an anchor that would only service what's already there. So that causes delays.
I just noticed that when they're doing it down in Burns River and that stuff, that they're not taking it very low. The tree's just cutting it off just below the line, and that's it.
Yeah, but what practice they use, we don't know what they're, but it's just to clear that space, so there's no trees impeding.
Yeah, they might be coming behind it and clearing them lower, but I just know.
Yeah, in all likelihood, what's there today is probably what's going to be there tomorrow, right?
So, just a comment, this will also be helping our utilities, I guess, in the sense that we'll also be getting our power lines cut as well. So we should be, I know with losing power in Caribou is an awful thing in the wind, so maybe that'll help out too.
Yeah, I guess the bad part is that a lot of this work is what I
Overdue.
think we would put in the category of preventative maintenance that should have been done, right?
Yeah.
It's decades of neglect. In some cases, we're not tree trimming, we're deforesting, right? Like if you looked, you would not be able, we've had pictures where you would not be able to tell there's actually a line there.
That's what I was trying to say, but I didn't go as far.
I'll say it.
Okay, moving on. Grant Review Committee Report. Go ahead, Councillor Bailey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to just talk about the community coordinator position, which is allotted $5,000 for each district. And the reason I'm bringing it up, and I do understand that things change and things do get cut, and for one reason or the other. Just want to speak on how important the, when we were getting a 20-week program for a community coordinator, how important that was to not just River John, but the whole district, District 4. There was things done in Tony River, there was things done in Seafoam, Cape John, and now, which wasn't part of that back when we had it going, West Branch would be included into it now. This program worked very good. It was tried in other areas, and it didn't work for one reason or the other. And I understand that it didn't. I question why we would cut one that was working, but give them the same as to areas that it didn't work in, and it was nobody's reason, nobody's fault that it didn't work. It just was not suited for those areas. Another, I can't say that right, another loss, I guess I'll put, that we had now, we have lost the Meals on Wheels, which was volunteered, done during the winter by the community coordinator. Now that service has been cut in River John. There is nobody to look after it, nobody to cook the meals. It's a number of reasons, but one of the reasons was that there was no coordination for it. The one that is doing the volunteering of the in the River John area is doing a very, very good job, and but she works full-time, and it's hard to be a supervisor of anywhere from 4 to 7 students when you're doing a 12-hour shift at the home in Tapmangush that she works at. So having said all that, what I'm looking for is the reason. I don't think the reason was ever given, maybe it was, but I'm looking for the reason as to why that one was cut to match the other ones when that one was working so well, is my question for the Grants Committee as to why that was cut.
Okay. Chairman, would you like to address that?
Trying to go in my mind here, when it was cut 4 years ago or something, was it, or 5 ago? So I think what the discussion was at that time and up to this time is that it wasn't fair to give the community coordinator in one district any more than it was in the other. We had requests from other districts that were higher too, and we thought it was only fair that all the districts get the same amount. And that's the recollection of what all the, I don't know, the committee can back me up on that, but I think that was the answer.
Yes.
I guess my problem was is that it was going on out in District 4 for, I don't know, 14, 15 years, and it was working, and it was making, you know, you didn't have to, you weren't playing out your volunteers, you were, and to me, I think it was, I guess my point was, it was tried in other areas, and it didn't work. You know, so it didn't work in other areas, so we'll make River John the same as other areas, make District 4 same as other areas. To me, that's not a very fair reason to cut it, to just up and cut it, say, okay, we won't let it work in any areas.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on the Grant Review Committee report? Go ahead, Councillor Parker.
I want to comment on the Northumberland Regional High School not getting approval for their grant. They put in for $10,000 this year and $10,000 next year. And they're trying to build a greenhouse out there, is what they're trying to do. And they just got permission from the Schenectady Central Regional, I don't know what it's called, school board or whatever, permission to put that on their campus. But they need about $108,000 to buy it and erect it. But what they're trying to do, I'll just speak on it for a minute, is they're trying to give a lunch to everybody that's a student there that doesn't have a lunch. And there's kids there that come to school every day for a lunch. And they don't have enough at the moment. They can't grow enough to feed everybody. So this would provide the necessary food to feed everybody there, and so that's what they're trying to do. Problem is trying to come up with the funding. They got $10,000 last year, and because of that, I guess they're not allowed to apply for 3 more years or similar to that. I'm just trying to figure out how we can help them somehow, because it's a really worthwhile project that looks after everybody in Pictou West and the town of Sturgeon and the town of Westville. And I'm just not sure how to help them out, because it's really, there's a lady that leading it there, Karen Bersowski, teacher there, super nice lady, and you know, they're gonna apply for federal funding, is what, and apparently the school, Schenectady Central Regional, whatever it's called, their education center, is gonna help them try to get the grant from the federal government, but it's a big deal, and I think it would really help them out. You got kids going to class that are hungry, it's hard to learn, and this is what they're trying to do. It's a little different than a typical grant because of that, and I'm just trying to kind of have my wits in, trying to help them here and figure out what we can do to help them. So I'm just asking around the table if anybody has any ideas. I'll offer them up.
Madam Chair, you're right, they didn't qualify because of the stipulations in their grants. They got $10,000 last year, so they can't, we couldn't get it out to, for 3 years. That was the reason why.
Yeah, no, I understand the reason. I'm just trying to find out if anybody around this table has any ideas on how we can help them out, I guess, but other than applying for federal grants, that's what they're...
I also think that they had funds unspent too, didn't they? There's a hold on, they're carried over. They didn't spend any additional grant. Am I?
Because they haven't got they just got permission to put it up from about a week ago from the Schenectady Central Regional School, whatever it's called.
Yeah, so I think they're asking for more, for the same project. Yeah.
That's true, that's what they're trying to do, but there's sources of income. There's none from the province as far as the Department of Education goes, and so they got to try to get it federally, and after that, the only other source is the county, and so that's why I'm trying to get some suggestions or whatever from people here around this table how we can help them out, I guess.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Did they ask the other towns, Westville and Sullivan?
Not to my knowledge, but that'll be brought up right away when there's a meeting right
They
away.
should, we're not the only source of
Yeah,
funding, right?
no, that's true. I will be bringing that up. Thank you.
Okay, Counselor Wadden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to follow up with the River John coordinator, did we ever do, I'm trying to remember because I was on council whenever we made those changes, and I know it had to do with the budget and trying to spread the money around, but did we ever do any kind of a study to see the different job functions of each of the coordinators? Or do we just assume we're going to treat them all the same?
I think within each district, they do different things depending on what that district needs are. So what happens in maybe Randy's district is different than what happens in Ronnie's district.
Definitely,
yeah.
but I'm just wondering, did we do any kind of a look at the jobs they do to see if they line up, that if this, one district is doing more than the other? Should we be looking at more? I'm just wondering we did anything like that for them.
Go ahead, Brian.
We don't. They submit as part of their application what each of the coordinators or the money would be spent on. So as part of their application, they do disclose why the request or what the need is.
And it's just based on that. Okay. And secondly, just to Councillor Parker's comments on Northumberland, that is a fantastic organization they have at that school. Definitely great to deal with, and they do work very, very hard. I know we do work with them at the food bank, try to do what we can for them, but very hard bunch of workers, and they are accomplishing really good things for the school. So hopefully they will be able to raise more funding for that. All I can think of is just more grants and going to the other towns possibly. So good luck with that one.
Warden Parker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to get Sue-Ann or Brian maybe to give us clarity on, like, I know with the connectivity grants, I think Salem got one year, so they're not eligible for the next 3 years or whatever. But in terms of not being eligible the following year, is that only for connectivity grants, or is that for any grant, any council grant? Well, some we repeat every year, obviously, Aaron, but where did this school one, I remember it being brought up the night of the Grants Review Committee. No, that doesn't fit within our policy, but I just want to know for sure what it is. Was it because they didn't spend their money from last year, which obviously they didn't have permission to do it from the school community, but, or is it, what group is it in that says, you're not allowed to get anything for the next 3 years?
So in your policy, it's part of the capital.
Capital.
That says that if you receive a capital grant, then you're ineligible for a 3-year period. No. The connectivity is, it's worded slightly different in that it's more of a general statement, but the school is not under connectivity, it's under the general capital section of the grants. So there's a 3-year exclusion that says if you receive funding, you're not eligible for a future 3 years. In essence, this request this year is for the same project that we funded. It's not a new project. It's, in essence, asking for $20,000 towards the same project that we funded that they didn't spend the money on yet. It's kind of twofold, but the general rule is that 3-year exclusion. In the community connectivity, it's similar groups are not eligible for 3 years, although I think the wording's a little looser there. But what it does say is that the money is meant to be spent on an equitable basis. So if one district received money last year, then other districts would be given priority this year and rotate it through. But in the event that there was money left over, it could go back to that other district.
So anybody that got a capital grant this year isn't eligible for another 3 years after this then? Is it 2 or?
3. 3.
This is one of them though, is it? Yeah. Okay, now I just wanted to clarify that. I know, I also want to say that I know a fair number of people involved with the Karma group in the school in Northumberland and Alma. And, I agree with Councillor Watt, they're a hard-working group. And, unfortunately, because of our policy, I guess they were ruled out. I don't think it was their fault that they didn't spend it last year. They weren't allowed to put it up until the school board, or whatever they call it now, approved it. They couldn't spend the money. They knew they were money short by quite a bit, so they applied for more money, but unfortunately, because of the rules, that didn't work. Anyway, thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else before I go to Councillor Bailey for a second time? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Bailey. Oh, sorry, were you going? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I understand that this is definitely a hard job on this committee, and I understand how hard it is to look at all these. What I think, though, is that the other 6 councillors, and I'm not advocating for any more councillors to be on the grant committee. I think there's probably too many on there now, but I'm not advocating for that. But for the other 6 councillors that don't get the information as to what grants were turned down, what grants was asked for, how much was asked for, how much was given, I think it would only be fair that all those grants, and it can come afterwards, it don't have to come before, it can come after the decisions was made, but I think it would be good for all councillors to have that information.
So we did this year, anybody that was turned down or isn't getting funding, we will provide the counselor the information of those grants, so you're aware of it going into your ratepayers meeting, that a group didn't receive funding this way, because they can't draw from both type things. So we will, if there is a group specific to your area, we'll let you know. Then we'll give you all the details of the grant.
I wasn't so much interested in my area. I think it'd be good for us to know what was asked for and what was given. I think all councillors should have the same information. I don't think it's fair that 6 get, and I have no problem with the decisions, okay? That's what I'm asking for. I'm just asking for the information on each grant.
Go ahead.
That can be done, but you wouldn't get the whole, if there's a pile that high. I think we just did a summary.
Just a summary.
Just a summary like this, like, that's what we worked on? Yeah, I can't see that being a problem.
I don't think we're looking for, the big write-up.
No. That's a summary?
Just the facts.
After the fact. Yep, sure, that's no problem. I can't see it.
Yeah, no problem. Councillor Palmer.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I just want to bring this up because I brought it up during the Grants Review Committee, and it's about the operating grant for the Albert McDonald Arena and the Hector Arena. And I have nothing wrong with what we're doing with giving them 30 and Thorburn 30, but through this council, it was decided back years ago that that the Hector would get 60% of what Thorburn got, and the other 40 would come from the town of Pictou. So back then we get 25,000. So the county gave Hector 15,000, and then the other 10 came from the town of Pictou. Having said that, and I should have said beforehand that Pictou's going to, the Hector Arena's going to miss Ronnie Clark. He did an excellent job there and everything like that. And Ronnie and I worked well together and communicated and helped each other out. So anyway, he's under the same, with the rising costs and things like that, and we get 3 staff members that we keep on for about 24, 26 weeks. But lately, we have to hire them back earlier because they run out of unemployment during the summer months. They run out, so we hire them back about 4 weeks earlier, which is a good thing because then you get your maintenance work done and everything like that before the ice is put in. So, however, and he said rise in costs, like we only pay our guys $19 an hour, so they're not getting paid a great deal of money, and I think the hectare's just a little bit less. But, so we get 30, which is great, and the hectare got 30 this year through the grants review, but they also get 30 through the town of Pictou, so they get 60. So I just wanted to bring that up, but through this council it was gonna be a 60-40 split, right? So I just want to make that, I couldn't not say it, so, anyway, thank you.
Go ahead, Warden Parker.
As I said the night of the Grants Review Committee, and I know Councillor Palmer knows this, but we have helped out the Art McDonald rink more than just the grant that we're giving them here. Now, we upped them both by $5,000 this year, knowing that everything's going up, but in order to be fair to all the others that got something or didn't get something, that was as much as we felt we could do, but we certainly did in the last couple of years, help the Art McDonald. We probably helped the Hector out some, but where a whole lot of our money's going that we can't put to helping them is to the wellness center, to the rink there, because they can't control the costs. And when it goes to decide whether the cost should go to the user or the taxpayer, it's usually to the taxpayer. And so if you look at our financials, I forget the exact figure, but there's a large amount of money, and I remind them in there all the time that we have two other rinks to support too, from the county's point of view, being the Hector and the Art McDonald. So I know where Randy's coming from about the split and everything, but we've been there too when the extra was needed and came up with it. So I think from that, if you're looking at that point of view as well as just the numbers that are here, I don't think there's any want to to put the Art McDonald in a bad place for sure. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Boyles.
Yeah, myself, I said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't understand why we're giving anything to the Art McDonald rink. I mean, you say people from Pictou West go there, but you got the town of Trenton, Pictou, East Pictou all go there. You got Westfall, you got people from all there going there. We don't give them any money. Our rink should be the Art McDonald rink. It's the one that's in the county, the one we should be looking after.
I'm going to go to Councillor McDonald first. Okay.
Just a question, like the community grants and
Joe, can you put your mic to your...
the community grants and all the other grants, different sections there, are they every 3 years or just like they're different? Okay. And like some of these are probably yearly, or they go out yearly, probably the same thing.
Okay, Councillor Wadden. Okay, no problem. Okay, seeing nothing else, I'd just like to say it was a long night with the Grants Committee, and thank you to Sue-Ann and thank you to Brian and Karen for that evening, because everything ran so much smoother. We kind of got a new system, and it made things a lot easier. It was a very tough night, and I'd just like to thank our chairman for running a great meeting, and it's never an easy evening. So, all right, we'll move along to the audit committee update. And sorry, Councillor Wadden, I as well couldn't open your attachment today.
I tried to send out spam or something. I don't know what happened, but I do apologize to everyone. So bear with me on an oral report tonight, but I will try to have it out to you in a more timely fashion next quarter. So I do apologize. The audit committee realized a letter such as we received from our auditors with our financial report ending March 31st, 2024 was to be taken seriously. A letter such as this is a wake-up call that we as a council must do better, and our audit committee must do its due diligence to make sure we work on the issues highlighted by our auditors and continue to pay close attention to items that need our attention through Hansel. Items discussed at our meeting on April the 16th included the tax sale update, and this is one of the most important topics for the past couple of years with our committee. The intent is to have the process for our first sale in a number of years to be ready for our finance meeting tonight, and if it's not available tonight, then by our council meeting in May. We are looking at a tendering process for the properties. In the second batch of letters, they were sent for title search in January. On the deed transfer tax update, with the monies being collected so far, we are above our forecasted amounts, but still need to make sure we have the money to meet our obligations for the Wellness Center and the Aberdeen Hospital. As an audit committee, we are recommending council agree these funds must be very carefully monitored. We are recommending that the audit committee receive quarterly reports from the Wellness Center Board, as well as quarterly financial reports. And the warden has agreed to do this for us, and these reports will be made available to council. We do not want to see a $200,000 surprise when we are going through our year-end financials next year. Financials for the New Scotland Business Park are being worked on, and we hope to see these financials on a more regular basis. And future staffing in our financial department, along with the MOPC Internet financials. These two issues have been very important items for our audit committee as well, and we knew we had staffing shortages in our finance department, and succession planning is another key component of this issue. Doing our internet financials in-house has been identified as being necessary by our auditors. We have been advised we can probably have this happen by the end of the internet project, possibly around the end of 2026. And so in the meantime, the plan forward is to hire one management position to oversee daily financial office activities, that is support for Karen and her job. We'll hire one unionized accounting staff to internalize financial activities related to the municipal internet project. These two hires will definitely help with both the staffing concerns in finance as well as the in-house practice for our internet financials. The second hire definitely has cost savings associated with it that will help with the offsetting of costs for these positions. And the third possible hire is an administrative support position to assist management positions in the day-to-day functions of the municipality. This position may be a way to assist all departments requiring more assistance, but does not require a full-time person, and this is still being looked at. My understanding is that council will make the final decisions on the hiring positions once recommendations are made. So our meeting adjourned after an in-camera session on the litigation issue before the council. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Councillor Wadden. That was a very thorough report and captured our last quarterly meeting. Go ahead, Warden Parker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to speak to the deed transfer tax. And Councillor Wadden mentioned the $200,000 surprise. And yes, I guess it was a surprise, but I'll let Brian speak to this maybe, but it isn't up to each council to decide on what the deed transfer tax trust is used for. And in this case, that $200,000 went to the new SPCA building. They were short, and so they came. I disagreed with it at first, but it was the only one. So after a while, I saw the benefit, of certainly a much rejuvenated SPCA, and did agree. But I've told them over and over that we can't keep going back to that pot and dipping our hand in there when something gets in trouble. And we have a number of projects, I'm not going to name them tonight, but they're taking place in the county, that if they run $200,000, $400,000, $1 million short, that's the first place it's being looked at. There's excess money there because of the high sale price of homes. It's 1%. Every person that buys a home, it's 1%. And the amount of sales and the dollar value of those sales have driven that up. So it looks like a good full pot to dip your hand into. But as our CAO has said many times, if we aren't careful of how many times we're dipping into that, we won't be able to meet what it was meant for, the hospital and the wellness center. And so we have some obligations now at the wellness center that probably aren't going to be able to be financed other than through that. And that's going to put us in a not near as good a position as we are now. So somehow the message has to get through that we can't keep dipping into that thinking it's an endless pot. Yes, every project seems to come up. With the case of the Pictou Library, it wasn't that pot. It was a much bigger pot they had to go to because it was multi-million dollars, 5, 6, 7, they were short. So they had to go to the senior level of the government to get it up. But a lot of times locally, it's seen that the wellness center, and every time I bring it up, and I know it's going to be the same, most of the other units are going to be in favor of dipping into that. So, but I did agree at the audit committee meeting to give a quarterly report on if any's been taken out of that deed transfer tax trust, what it is and how much and where it went. because it has to get under control somewhere, and we don't have control right now. We have one vote, out of 5, is it right? West was not in it, yeah. So I just wanted to explain a little bit on that, and I think the 200,000 went to a good cause, and probably the next one's a good cause too, but we can't keep dipping into that pot.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Warden. Go ahead, Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So when the deed transfer tax was put together, was there was there restrictions on it? Like, and how open is that, that fund? And I know it's the decision of the trust to distribute it, but was there no restrictions put on it?
So the trust, to the warden's point, the trust is set up like a number of boards and agencies. So it's similar to Valley View Villas, similar to Wellness Center, similar to Pictou County Shared Services Authority. You delegate your responsibility for decisions to those boards to make them. So not every decision comes back. So that's not an uncommon thing. The trust itself was set up. It has primary responsibility is the debt on the Wellness Center, capital debt. Secondary is the debt on the hospital. It has an obligation, potential obligation, third obligation. They can contribute $250,000 a year to the operations of the Wellness Center. And fourth, it can give money to any project that is deemed to be a benefit to the participating units. So that's where the SPCA came in to it. The reality is if it didn't come from that pot, there would have been a grant request to each of the councils. So there is some restriction on it. There is a financing plan that is basically maps out that we have to be cash positive to pay, because we do have legal obligations to pay the debt on the Wellness Center and the hospital. So we have legal obligations. There are loans or debentures outstanding, so those must be met. If those are not met on an annual basis, then it goes back to the units. If the trust can't make the payment, it comes back here and you're on the hook for your population share. So we've typically, the way we've kind of looked at it is we've always really had a year in the bank type thing. So it was always, we had enough that we could absorb a bad year if one hit. The last 5 years, we haven't had a bad year. We budget basically about $850,000. We're probably averaging about, well, conservatively, just because I don't remember the number, about 1.5 million over the last 5 years. So we've built up a reserve. The thing that needs to be always kept in mind is right now our legal obligation is $13 million. That's what we owe in debt. We have currently, I think the number is about 6.5 in, it's not all in cash because there's an outstanding, there's a loan to the Wellness Center for a capital project that they did that is to be repaid. So when we look at the obligation, you have 13 million, we only have 6.5 right now towards it. So there is a break point, and I said the other night, it's probably about 7 years where we get to a point that we actually have enough money in the trust to actually, those obligations are in essence settled, right? But it's kind of, it's two-pronged. The debt's coming down and the trust is building up, right? So they will intersect. And I figure it's probably about year 7 that will happen.
So just have a follow-up if I may.
Go right
So in
ahead.
the determination to give the 200,000 to the SPCA, is there a vote that has to be met? Is it 50%? Is it two-thirds plus, what is the
Majority.
breakdown?
Simple majority.
It's just a simple majority?
Yep.
Was everybody in favor, was there anybody other than the county that was, was it unanimously passed?
That vote was unanimous.
Was it unanimously passed? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Counselor Bailey?
I guess being here when we took the deed transfer tax in, and it was kind of an agreement. I guess it was never put in paper, and this is the issue that I have with giving money from that trust, is that around this table, even though it's hard to believe that you'll take a tax off after putting it in, but it was pretty well agreed around this table that we would cut the deed transfer tax charge once that was paid. And by giving it to other organizations, as good as SPCA is, I think we're going against what was the unwritten rule around this table.
All right. Sorry, would you?
No, and just to that point, that's where I say that break point is probably 7 years out, when the obligations, there will be enough money in the trust to settle those first two items. The ongoing, that 250,000 has only been used twice in the existence of the trust. It was used the first year that we had a deficit when the Wellness Center opened. We funded 100,000 out of that, and then I think the COVID year we put 250 in because of COVID and the loss of revenues. So it's only actually been used twice for the third item on the list. So it,
But if we left that 200,000, we would be down in 6 years instead of 7.
it's in the grand scheme of things, that 200,000 is a minuscule amount to the trust, but it is, to the warden's point, it's the principle behind it, that if we keep going there, the trust will never end, right? The trust will, and you're right, like it was basically, we're putting this in to fund these things, and once it's over, it really should go away. And then it would be up to the individual units if they want to keep it for their own revenue or whatever, right? You would make that decision. But right now, we're not at a point that we're meeting that long-term obligation. We will meet it. I mean, the projections that are there, it's always a matter of time, right? It's just time that you will get there. But the reality is that it's probably still 7 years out, which, yeah, it's still really 7 years out. It puts you at 2032. When you look at the hospital wasn't completed till 2016, right? So the obligations would be, and they were always based on a 25-year repayment, so that would have been 2041. So we will be meeting the obligations quicker. But to the warden's point, it is, and to yours, if you keep going into it, you just keep pushing that end date out. And it's not that it doesn't have the ability to fund them. Currently at these current levels, it certainly could take on other projects. But there is a limit to that, right? Of what that looks like, because the numbers, like right now, we're in good, but we averaged from 2012 to 2021, we averaged about 860,000 a year in collections, right? That was our model, and it would meet the obligations out to the 25 years for each of those things. So the bump in money will shorten it. It's all it does. It just shortens it.
Counselor Palmer?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And if I had to make the decision today, I would make the same decision. I think the Wellness Center is good for the county. When it was sold to us, it was really undersold as far as costs and things like that. But I'd still go with it because it serves the purpose, and without that purpose, this county would be falling behind the other counties. But having said that, I kind of remember the agreement back then that it was only going to be for the hospital and for the wellness, or for the wellness center, and I didn't know about this third and fourth options. But anyway, it is what it is. At one time, we used to get financial reports monthly from the wellness center. We used to have them look them over. Now we don't get anything. We don't even see where the costs are or anything like that. So, you know, that's something I'd like to see. But part of the agreement back in 2009 was the fisheries training. In order for town Peck to come in was the fisheries training pool. Okay? And at that time, it was $80,000 a year, the agreement. I heard a rumor that they're getting a lot more than $80,000. Is that true?
Yeah, I think last year was 100. So it fluctuates. It's up, down.
But I thought it was a straight
No,
flat
it
80,000.
was basically, the agreement is that the Pictou County Wellness Center covers
So,
the operating deficit off the Pictou fisheries.
so the town of Pictou isn't paying anything for the wellness center basically, because they used to pay the cover cost of the Pictou fisheries training pool, right? And then
Correct.
their percentage is like $40,000 a year that they pay in. We pay 250, roughly, you know what I mean? For the deficit, they pay 40 some, but they're also making that, they're getting 100 from that. So they get a sweet deal. That's what I'm trying. That's my point. The town of Pictou got a very sweet deal by coming in on this, right? They're basically saving money. So, thank you.
Right.
Okay, and Warden Parker to finish us off.
And they weren't the only one that got a sweet deal. The Y got a very sweet deal, which is costing the Wellness Center a lot of excess money. And actually, the Y is taking over the pool in Pictou, along with, they got a new gym and everything in there now, so it's all being handed to, or not handed to, but it's all gonna be run under the Y, the pool in there now. But they're, one of the, I'll get that on, yeah. One of the costs, you know, that's kind of hidden there now, you know, at the pools, they need a lot of capital money to fix. That building's getting old, and it's not in good shape. So somebody's gonna be looking for some money. Guess where they're gonna be looking for it from? You know, so they're not the only ones. I could name 2 or 3 others, but you know, that are gonna be looking toward that pot. There's not one eye on it now. And it's not that they're bad things. A lot of people use that pool, you know, from the county as well as from the town. And some of the other projects that are ongoing are good projects, but we cannot keep dipping in there. But the point I wanted to make, I just wanted to add that, but we've been very lucky over the last half a dozen years or whatever. That pot has swelled a lot, which allows us, you know, to be able to finish sooner. But there was a reason for that. The demand for housing after COVID went right through the roof, and the price of homes pretty near doubled. So we were at 1%. We were a beneficiary of all that, so that money grew. But we're coming into a new time now. We don't know what's gonna happen with the guy down south. You know, we wait till our election's over and then see where things go, but we may not be in that real good time anymore. If things get tough here, people aren't gonna be able to pay those kind of prices for homes anymore, and there's not gonna be the same amount of sales activity. I'm just trying to predict, but it may be that it continues, and let's hope it does. But there's a very good chance that things could take a swing the other way. Anything we're being told by our politicians for any party is that, you know, you prepare yourself for some rough times. Well, if that happens, we may be glad that pot is a little overfull, because it may start shrinking on us. So Anyway, just wanted to mention that, Madam Chair, we can't count on those numbers holding where they are.
Okay. Oh, go ahead, Councillor Bailey.
Just a quick one. So with the Y taking the pool over, does that not break that agreement that we don't? So then should we not be looking, because I can just imagine what's going to happen when the Y goes in there, what they're going to want, and they're going to be coming to that trust like crazy. Or I think they will.
Yeah,
I think we should maybe have a look at that agreement, and if they want to take it over, then they have to take it over at their own expenses. Then maybe cut them off, like, you know, if we've been putting 100,000 in, then we put the 100 in. If it's 80, we put the 80. Whatever we were putting in, we stick it at that. But I'm worried that it could climb up the ladder pretty quick.
Yeah, I can't speak to the capital side because that's really not on the table. I guess at this point it's kind of been hinted to that there is some long-term deficiencies there. And the other thing with the Pictou Fisheries Training Pool is it's actually owned by the province of Nova Scotia. So the province does fund 50% off the capital, but they're funding 50% of capital on a building they don't use. So long-term, what's their relationship going to be? So that's another thing that will need to be factored out. But the agreement with the Pictou Fisheries Training Pool was basically that it would come in, the way it was worded in the agreement, or the way it was explained in the legal, was that it was basically the wellness center had the obligation to run the pool. Like when it came in, that we had that obligation, but we had the ability to contract that out. And so we contracted the town of Pictou to actually run it. And now it's being contracted to the Y. So that's the way the actual agreement was worded. So the wellness center had the ability to provide the pool type thing. So so there is that was a little nuance that came out of this whole thing. So.
And to finish it off, Councillor Palmer?
Just to that point, now, the Y never did want the pool at the wellness center. Is the pool not owned by the municipalities and the Y operates it?
Correct.
Yeah, yeah, it's not owned by the Y.
It is
The
not.
Y is just operating it on our behalf.
They are operating it on our behalf.
Yeah. Yep, thank you.
Correct.
Bless you. Okay, lots of good information. Thank you very much for your report, Councillor Wadden. Jumping into our next report that's very timely is our schedule of deed transfer tax. As you can see, the fiscal year is done, so we have our final totals of $1,084,922.50.
The tax receivable report was sent out separately.
That's just the deed transfer tax report. Okay, hold on. 6.7, yes. Yes, it was sent up separately. Just 1 second, let me get mine up here. Sorry, everybody. Okay, so taxes receivable report. So the summaries for March 2025. So as we see, so far we've collected 83.7% of taxes, percentage of the total tax levy collected, which is a little shy from last year. Any questions or comments on the report? Okay. Now we'll move on to the 6.8, to the schedule of deed transfer tax. Any questions or comments there? Okay, we'll move along. Looking for accounts paid for March of 2025. Looking for a motion. Who moved? Moved by Counselor Palmer, seconded by Counselor Wadden. Open the floor up to questions or comments on the accounts paid. Questions or comments? Okay, let's call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Motion carried. Next, we're going to move on to business items or items requiring action. So the first one was one that I had put on. I have ratepayer meetings obviously coming up, just like the rest of you, and I saw that one of my organizations returned $40. I thought, what the work that goes into returning $40? Not only from the organization standpoint, but also from an internal. Councillor Wadden spoke earlier about the stretching of our accounting right now, financial department. So I just thought I would bring this up and like to have a conversation of what other councillors thought. Or maybe you don't think anything. Go ahead, Warden Parker.
Both myself and Wayne signed the checks for the county. A lot of times I'll be signing a check for $3.41 or $4.10. The little bits, I often think it's kind of useless why we're doing that, but it's to make the accounting, I guess, work out. If you round it off and say, well, we're not going to bother sending any checks out if it's less than $10, or and in this case maybe it's $40 or whatever. I don't know what that does to the bookkeeping end of things, that you say just keep it. And I know many organizations would just say, well, we got to do something, with that $40 we get left and it gets spent, I'm sure, in one way or another. But if we don't have a rule that says you send it back, then does that throw our accounting out, is what I'm wondering.
Do you want to speak to that, Karen?
Karen's question.
Well, we have, in some of our grant policies that some grant organizations don't even have to report on anything less than $1,000. So, I mean, for some of these organizations that are sending back $4.99, the work that goes into receiving that is more costly than $4.99. To me, it just doesn't make financial sense.
If it works for Karen, that's probably a good idea.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, from our perspective, we are saying to a group, if we give you $1,000 or less, you don't have to report, so why are they sending us, they're sending us back to $40 on something.
These people that are sending this back are only the groups that got more than $1,000.
Right.
And if they didn't spend the whole, over that, then they're having to return it. Because if you got a grant that was under $1,000, you don't even have to report on it. So you're not returning that money.
Councillor Wadden?
I guess my question would be, would it be better to have a threshold of under $1,000 and they wouldn't have to return it? Or does the $100 make more sense?
Well, $100 is you're reporting on your grant.
Yeah.
So $100 makes more sense than
Going to 1,000?
Than 1,000, but you're reporting on the whole grant, but it makes $100 makes more sense than returning these little piddly amounts of $5 and $15 and then.
Okay, that's what I was just wondering, if you wanted to bring it up to that threshold of 1,000.
Most of the time, these grants only have a few dollars left in them.
Yeah.
And if it's $100 or more, $100 or under, then report on it, but you don't have to return it.
I make a motion, we put that into our policy, put the under $100. It doesn't have to be returned.
We'll have to amend the policy.
All right. So you've made a motion, moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Motion carried. Next, we have a tax exemption policy. So the former Knox Presbyterian Church in Blue Mountain has sold as a residence, I guess, and no longer meets the requirements under a tax exemption policy. Okay, so it's moved by Counselor Thompson, seconded by Counselor Palmer, that we remove them from our tax exemption policy. Any further comment or question? Counselor Wadden? Oh, sorry, I don't know. Just wave your hand at me. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. Motion carried. And the last actionable item this evening is the library funding request. The Pictou Antigonish Regional Library is requesting a grant increase of $8,386 from our municipality this fiscal year for operations as per the letter enclosed in our package. So they have, I guess, gave us iPads dead here. A letter stating that they are needing more funding and saying what will happen if they don't receive it, where they're looking for funding from the province as well as us. I have a question, seeing that nobody has one yet. The funding model that's in place in here, we pay $65,000 more than even the county of Antigonish. How is this funding model set up?
Population.
Population?
I think it's population.
Okay, that's all I needed to know.
I'll make a motion on the grant, 8386.
Second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? Go ahead, Counselor Wadden. Nope, not on.
Just to let everyone know, like, a lot of discussion went into this motion because it's been 5 years since we had to come to council for an update on our funding. We're really hoping that the province will come through, but the two scenarios, if that emergency grant funding comes through, then they still need the money to avoid the layoffs and the cutbacks and the cutting of hours. So it's a really serious situation for the library, and they are working non-stop trying to secure that emergency funding and also open up those discussions again on the funding formula. So I really appreciate council making making this motion, and all municipalities have to agree to update their share in order for this to go through. So it's very important to the library, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Boyles.
Yeah, as I said before on the, I mean, we give a lot of money to the, God, we give a whack of money there when Pictou done theirs, now New Glasgow's doing theirs. I read in the paper the other day, what is it, 12 million or something? I think it was way up there anyway, crazy. So I don't know why somebody needs a building like that to read a book in or go on a computer, but I won't be supporting it, thanks.
Okay. Any further comments? Go ahead, Warden Parker.
Before, but then when Councillor Wadden mentioned that it was subject to all the other councils, should that be part of our motion, or you're saying that that's already the way it's going to be? If we contribute money and two of the other area districts, municipalities decide not to, it won't happen unless it doesn't need to be part of our motion. So
My understanding, it has, like, all municipalities have to accept it.
okay, I just want to make sure of that, and wondered if it had to be part of our motion or not.
We can add it.
We can,
Let's add it anyway, then, I second, so if we both agree to that, just so we're on good understanding of that.
because I think the amounts would change if someone pulls out, so.
Or else you wouldn't have your 25.
No, it wouldn't work.
Okay, can I just ask what fund this will be coming from, Karen? Where would this be?
It'd be part of our general budget.
General budget? Okay. All right. Seeing no more comments and questions, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. One nay. Motion carried. We have no deferred business this evening. And not seeing any motions of reconsideration unless anyone else has one. We'll call for some community announcements. Go ahead, Mr. McDonald, or Councilor McDonald. I was going to call you Mr.
The annual Culloden is this weekend on 26 at 10:45 a.m. in Noddart. It's a very good day, and there's a roast beef supper back at the Lismore Community Center. And on the Valley View Villa's grand opening, is on Friday. If any counselors would like to attend, please come.
Okay. What time Friday? You're gonna be late or early, one of the two. Okay, I'll go to Counselor Palmer, where you guys are looking for the time there.
Just want to mention the Saturdays go green, get clean, or vice versa. So I hope everybody's community is doing something. I know Thorburn is meeting at the Crossroads Country Market at 9 a.m. and going till 12, and there'll be a barbecue afterwards, so for anybody that participates, and hopefully we, by the looks of the ditches, man, I just don't understand people. Don't understand how somebody can throw something out and not care. It's just disgraceful.
It is disgraceful. The amount of garbage this year, it seems more garbage than ever before. Counselor Boyles.
Yeah, I just like to, two things. One is the kitchen party goes on every Friday night at the Hillside Hall for $5. You get in, the entertainers get in free, and a lunch provided. Also, I'd like to turn around and put a little, congratulations, I guess, in one sense. Stevie Stewart from the Lanashi Fire Department has retired after 27 years, so I'd just like to nod out for him.
We wish him a happy retirement. All right, I guess my community, it is 9 o'clock. Don't be late, Joe.
Says 11 on there. I think that's just to reserve the day, I believe. Like the official invitation is 11.
Sod turning in Plymouth, and there's a reception following at the Road Center. I think sod turning. I'll have to confirm that.
It just says
Why don't we get an email, confirmed by email to everybody, so we don't, give you guys a chance to confirm, so we're not showing up. Yep. I'll take this opportunity, go ahead, Counselor Thompson, you have something?
Just, it's going to be a lot of attention sprinkled on Plymouth on Friday. Morning, we're going to have the announcement for the new villa, and across the street at 1 o'clock, where the Department of Education and the Premier, our MLA, is going to be announcing funding for to build a child care center in Plymouth. So that's at 1 o'clock. I'm not sure of how much room's going to be on site. We're sort of in the midst of getting things gutted out and ready for construction, so it's a pretty exciting time. So we're looking forward to that.
All great things.
It is 11.
It is 11.
According to this.
Okay.
So I mixed messages, but the official.
Official time is 11 a.m. And what is this for again?
Sod turning.
Sod turning of the new Valley View Villa.
Not at Valley View,
This is at the new site in Valley View in Plymouth.
I'm gonna send this to you, Sue Ann. I'll send it to you, you can send it up.
I will go last. District 3 as well is participating in the cleanup. I am a member of the ad hoc committee for littering and also chair of that committee. And it is absolutely disgraceful, the amount of garbage that is on our roadways and our highways. I drove through New Glasgow on the highway, the 104, the other day, and go visit my mom for her birthday. And my goodness, it is absolutely disgraceful, the amount of garbage. And I really encourage everyone to, in their communities, to do a little pickup, and hopefully we can take some pride in our county again, because it's just sad. Second thing I'd like to say is I'd like to wish all the fishermen and women that are ready to drop their traps in the water on Friday, I wish them a safe setting day and a very successful season. So I just wanted to send that along. Go ahead, Warden Parker.
I just wanted to say that ad hoc committee is for anti-littering.
Sorry.
Not for littering.
Oh, sorry. Well, yes.
We don't have a committee of council for littering, but we do have one for anti-littering.
Yes. All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you.